You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Now, the first two states that will vote when it comes to the Democratic presidential candidates are Iowa and New Hampshire. Very, very white states. It's not until you get to South Carolina where African Americans, the backbone of the Democratic Party, begin to flex their muscle. All the candidates are really focused on South Carolina, where some 40% of the voters are African American. Think about that, folks. Now, all the candidates are trying to get the black vote right now. Of course, Joe Biden is leading among all of them with a huge margins among voters who are 50 plus. One of the reporters who has been, who's based there in South Carolina, she's been covering the race, Meg Kinnard. She works for the Associated Press. We've had her on our show on TV1 many times. So, Meg, first and foremost, let's start here. Pete Buttigieg's campaign is now dealing with a serious issue because he put out a list of people supporting his Douglas plan, but there are black people on the list who say, I didn't agree with this. What is happening there? Is it a major issue, and how are they trying to dig or sort this whole mess out?
Hey, Roland, it's good to be back with you. And yes, the Buttigieg campaign is still trying to make strides here in South Carolina. He's one of those candidates, and there are many of them who really were unknown here before they entered the race. And so they are continuing to have to introduce themselves, not just to black voters, but to all voters across South Carolina. And so this is yet again another issue that he is dealing with. He has really struggled to make inroads in the African American community here. Polling isn't everything, but the numbers for the Buttigieg campaign among black voters remain very low. The most recent polling out of Quinnipiac showed him actually not even registering with black voters in South Carolina. So this does continue to be an effort for him. As the campaigns always remind us whenever we bring up these kinds of things, there is still plenty of time left. South Carolina votes, I believe, in 102 days. Not that I have a countdown going or anything, but that is still a lot of time for these campaigns like Mayor Buttigieg to really continue to try to get the word out. And that's what I believe that they're still trying to do.
Elizabeth Warren, she got the nomination of a group of black women activists, many of them prominent on social media. Senator Kamala Harris has gotten the endorsement of Higher Heights, a coalition of 90,000 black women. What's interesting there were people who were complaining that the Warren endorsement got more attention. Well, the people who endorsed her are a lot more active on social media. What is the battle like on the ground there for the black women vote in South Carolina? Can Senator Kamala Harris cut into Biden's lead, because she is going to need a significant showing in South Carolina? If you look at the current polling numbers, she's down big time in Iowa. She's pretty much blowing off New Hampshire. She has to show very well in South Carolina to really stay in this race.
South Carolina really is a critical proving ground for a lot of these campaigns. And Senator Harris is definitely putting a sharp focus on exactly the contingency that you mentioned, that's black women. This week, in and around the debate in Atlanta, a lot of the campaigns have some side events. I believe that Mayor Buttigieg is speaking right now at Morehouse, I believe. And she's going to be doing the same after the debate. But then she comes here. Then she's going to be here in South Carolina. She's got some members of Higher Heights that are going to be helping her doing some canvassing and phone banking. Specifically, they call it woman-to-woman phone banking. And they're going to be reaching out to black women across South Carolina and trying to activate this network that a lot of people have anticipated maybe could be out there for Senator Harris. She's an AKA, and she has done a lot of networking and building relationships among AKAs nationwide, but also specifically here. Then on Saturday, she's going to be holding a town hall here in South Carolina that's specifically focused on issues important to black women. Her campaign tells me they'll be talking a lot about maternal health and a lot of issues that they really feel like if Senator Harris can connect with some of these black female voters, as you know, the Democratic Party's most reliable bloc going back a long time, if she can really show these Black women here in South Carolina that she understands the issues that are most important to them, they're really hoping that that is going to translate into some higher numbers for her, which you're right, have been on the lower spectrum of things lately.
Senator Bernie Sanders, he's held events there. How is he looking among African Americans? And what about Senator Cory Booker and some of the other candidates who are further down the list?
Senator Sanders, all things considered, still maintains a relatively high number among Black voters, taking into account Joe Biden is leading the polls here, and he's certainly leading the polls among Black voters. I think the most recent numbers out of Quinnipiac showed him with 44% among Black voters in South Carolina. That is a high number, especially when you think about how big this field is. But Senator Sanders, maybe because he's run before, maybe because he's not starting from as low name recognition standpoint as some of the other candidates, he's running about 10%. And I believe that Senator Warren is there behind him with 8% among Black voters in South Carolina. So this is a place where Joe Biden is well known. There are a lot of long-term relationships he's been building in South Carolina among voters in general, but particularly in the Black community. And that is being borne out in some of the recent numbers that we've seen. There's always a lot of movement, but generally when you look at surveys going back for the last couple of months here, they've showed Joe Biden on top, and they've showed him on top among Black voters also. And
when you talk about what that is showing, a few moments ago, you actually, about 3 hours ago, you tweeted this Quinnipiac poll here, and from Matt Visor posted this. Guys, go to my iPad, please. Among Black voters, first of all, South Carolina, this is the tweet, South Carolina continues to be Biden's firewall, largely because he's at 44% among Black voters. Buttigieg is at 0%. Overall, Biden 33%, Warren 13%, Sanders 11%, Buttigieg 6%, Steyer 5%, Yang 4%, Harris 3%, Booker 2%. I got to ask you, what does it say that literally Yang, Steyer, and Buttigieg are polling higher overall in South Carolina than Senator Harris and Senator Cory Booker, two African Americans? I mean, what's happening in South Carolina? Is it just Biden had such a huge lead that frankly he's sucking up a lot of the Black oxygen?
This is a question that I get a lot. Why aren't the African-American candidates in the race performing better in the state, which, as you noted, is the first place where the Black vote really comes into account? I don't have a direct answer for that. I do know that Senator Harris and Senator Booker have been two of the candidates really who've been campaigning here the longest. I first went out with them on the trail, sure, before their campaigns were actually official, but they were doing events here in South Carolina as early as October of 2018. In political speak, that's like a lifetime ago. So they have been out there. They are known commodities. They've been introducing themselves. But this candidate field continues to grow. We get new candidates, it seems like just about every day. We've got Deval Patrick coming into the race, maybe Michael Bloomberg too. So we're not done yet. And as these people, as Andrew Yang and others continue to enter the race, it's like they're the new commodity, the new kid on the block. And they're someone that is, generating a lot of excitement, frankly. And when somebody is new, they can get a lot of attention. And I say new, but all of these candidates that you just mentioned have been in the race for months, but they're not as well known. And so they might be experiencing something of, okay, well, I'm a Black voter. I don't want people to assume that I'm just going to support the Black candidate. I hear that a lot from voters at these different events. They want to make sure that they have just as much of an opportunity as anybody else to kind of go shopping for who's going to get their support. And B, they might be interested in thinking about somebody that they might not know as well, but give them a chance. Keep in mind, a lot of these voters that I talk to and they get questioned in these polls, they're not 100% behind anybody. They haven't definitively made up their ideas in their mind about who's going to actually get their vote on February 29th. So we've still got a lot of time, and I guarantee you're going to continue to see some of those numbers move around.
Last question for you. You posted a story today. Folks, go to my iPad, please. Bloomberg wins key South Carolina endorsement of head of possible 2020 bid. Steve Benjamin, the mayor of Columbia, South Carolina, says that if Bloomberg gets in the race, he is going to endorse him, saying that, quote, he's got what it takes and he's got the resources to take it to Trump. I believe firmly that Mike Bloomberg can win. I think resources are going to matter. That is stunning. Every politician, including Senator Harris and Booker, they all desperately want the endorsement of Steve Benjamin. Were you shocked to hear this about Bloomberg?
I was a little bit surprised. I talk to Mayor Benjamin regularly. As you noted, he is a big fish in the Democratic pond of South Carolina politics. And we've talked a lot pretty candidly about who he's going to back, and he's never definitively told me. But what he said today was Mayor Bloomberg is somebody that he's been developing a relationship with over the course of a decade. Mayor Benjamin just recently concluded his term as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Through that group, he's gotten to know a lot of mayors across the country, including Mayor Bloomberg, including Mayor Buttigieg, and also some others that we would know. So, yes, this was not exactly the route that I had been anticipating, and I think a lot of others, but they do have that relationship that goes back a long time. Steve Benjamin is also a centrist. He says that he aligns with Mayor Bloomberg in a lot of political ways. And he says that he also sees in him the executive experience that is needed for somebody to be coming into the presidency. So for all of those reasons, Mayor Benjamin said, look, if he decides to get into it, I think that Mike Bloomberg is going to be my guy. And to note, I do want to note this, there's been a lot of talk lately about endorsements and what comes along with those endorsements, and is money a part of it? One of my colleagues out in Iowa, Alex Jaffe, broke a story recently about some politicians there who said that some officials from Tom Steyer's campaign had actually been offering them money for backing. And I didn't like to add this question on, but I did straight up ask Mayor Benjamin if that had been any part of the calculus here. That was already a conversation on Twitter when the story started circulating. And he said, no, absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form was there any mention of money or money changing hands. And that just goes to show you that we are in a cycle now where those questions are going to come up. And I made sure to add it on to the ones I was asking him today. All
right. Meg Kinnard, Associated Press there in South Carolina. We appreciate it. Will not be the last time you and I chat. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roland.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, as the marijuana momentum continues, our friends at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. That's right. If you want to take advantage of this great opportunity, you need to do it now because it won't last much longer. If you don't know, I'm talking about the hemp plant, the good cousin to marijuana with a much higher concentration of CBD. That means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Now, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the United States, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. It is an investment opportunity, and that's where the folks at 420 Real Estate come in. Their business model is simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. You can get in on the action. As hemp continues to change the economic landscape, 420 Real Estate is allowing you to chase the American dream. The best part, you can invest in this crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Now, you must do it now before the fund is closed. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.